Hi everyone, welcome back to SoccerBeat. Michael Morton here with Peter du Toit. SoccerBeat, we are reacting to what happened last night. Stellenbosch obviously taking a point last night, Pirates dropping 2 and Sundowns winning again, now opening the gap to 18 points. And I'm here with Peter to discuss why we believe Orlando Pirates have fallen off in this title race and what's potentially cost them the league title. So we will be diving into some very, very interesting stats. So if you stay with us, we're going to give you the exact reason as to why we believe Pirates are no longer really in this title race. Peter, thanks for joining me. What did you make of last night's games and sort of the outcome in terms of what the league, the difference, but the big gap between the two teams right now?
Mike, I think it's very simple. And our job as analysts, ex-player, current player, is to bring the information to our viewers out there that gives them a clear understanding of what's happened. And we've got the benefit of having top data. And that's what we bring into you guys. Guys, this is the reason why Pirates have fallen out the race. And if Pirates are not careful, they won't win or won't go further in CAF, and they'll struggle in the Nedbank. And that's got to be avoided. So, Mike, my views, this game against Stellenbosch epitomized the problem. It can't be more clear. You're playing against 10 men. Forget the nonsense that they say sometimes it's harder to play against 10 men. It's not. It's 11 versus 10. You've got an extra man, and you're a quality team. This game, if this hasn't shown the red light to Riveiro, then there's a big problem. And this data says, and I think, Mike, you can unpack it, the clear problem is absolutely lack of rotation. And there's a second problem, which we'll deep dive on. Pirates have got a big squad. He said it himself, 37 players. So what's wrong with that squad? Why is it not be rotated? But rotation has cost them. And when you show the guys out there the data, everyone will agree. It's very simple. But there's another point. If we've got the data, so have Pirates. Why have they not acted on this data? So viewers out there, give us your thoughts. But follow closely. We bring this to the table. It's clearly, this is the reason it's cost Pirates the title. Mike, you want to go through it?
Pirates, Peter, before we even get into that, there's another stat that I want to speak about, and that's the fact that we've just hit 25,000 subscribers on YouTube, but there's another YouTube channel, and we will not mention their name, but they are 10 times bigger than us. Now, I don't believe that the content we're producing is as far behind as 10 times the size. So if you're watching SoccerBeat, you have to subscribe. We cannot be that far behind our competition when we are pumping out really quality content. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Peter, quickly.
So it's a good challenge.
Yeah, we're on their tails. We're coming. So help us close that gap, please. We don't want to have that 18-point gap like Pirates and Sundowns. Please, we want to close that gap. Peter, so yeah, just to dive into the numbers now, and what we believe is the reason Pirates have fallen so far behind. And that's in the fact that if we look at starting 11 changes since the beginning of the season, Sundowns are number 1 by a country mile. They have made 109 changes to their starting 11 since the start of the season. That's 22 games, 109 changes.
Well, Mike,
and then
Can I just ask a question? So what that means is their starting 11 in the amount of games played per game, the starting 11's changed 109 times. Is that?
Yeah. Essentially, it means that they make they average 5 changes a game, basically, for every game.
So almost 50% of their team gets changed on a starting 11 every game.
Yep. Just last night, they made 7 changes in their game against AmaZulu, 7 changes. So it just shows you the amount of rotation that they have. 109 changes in 22 games. Now, the crux and the whole reason we believe Pirates are so far behind, Pirates have only made 34 first 11 changes from 18 games. So that's less than two changes into the starting 11 from week to week. That, for me, is that just jumps out off the page. Orlando Pirates do not change their team. We have been harping on the Talking Pirates show. Monib, Cheese, and I have been going on week in and week out that we're looking a bit leggy. We're looking a little bit tired. And then you look at these numbers and it says a lot, Peter. I mean, Sundowns make 3 times more changes to their lineup than Orlando Pirates does. And do we need to, is it the squad size? Is it the quality of players that that Pirates has? Is it Riveiro just liking to play the same lineup, the same shape week in, week out? Some coaches just prefer to play the same lineup. They don't like a lot of changes.
So, Mike,
Yeah.
let's look at this logically. Viewers out there, Pirates fans and football fans and Sundowns fans out there, let's look at this logically. And it also applies to teams like Kaizer Chiefs. So what is fact? This is not Mike's opinion. This is not my opinion. This is not Riveiro's opinion or Cardozo's opinion. What is fact? In the changing of a lineup on your starting lineup, Sundowns are top of the league table, if you want to call it. They make the most changes. As Mike says, 109. That's 5 changes per game. Now, yes, we forget the squad size and the quality of the squad. Let's ignore that for the time being. We'll come back to that. Pirates are second bottom out of all the teams. Royal AM is bottom, but let's not count them. They may have actually made more changes because
they've only played 10 games.
Played the game. So Pirates are literally bottom of the table in amount of starting 11 changes they made. As Mike says, only 34. 2 changes in the starting lineup per game. Now, you cannot dispute that.
And and Peter, just to add to our point here, and what actually made this even more obvious to me is when you look at who's actually second on the list in terms of changes. And viewers will, when they hear this, it's the fact that Stellenbosch is second on the list. Now, what are the common things between Stellenbosch, Sundowns, and Orlando Pirates? They're all playing in Africa. And if you look at that, why are the 2 other teams that are playing in Africa the top of the list? Stellies have made 68 changes. They made 5 changes last night, 68 changes. So that's double the amount of changes that Pirates has made. And that's a great comparison, because if we had to look at Sundowns versus Pirates in terms of squad, we can say, well, look, Sundowns have all these options. But Stellenbosch, you wouldn't say that their squad is vastly superior to Orlando Pirates, or they have more options, but they make more changes. Double the amount of changes that Orlando Pirates make. So why are the 2 other teams that are playing in Africa making changes week in, week out, and Pirates have only made 34 changes?
Undisputed are the numbers. Pirates are the worst for making changes to their lineup. Sundowns and Stellenbosch will probably come third, are the best. And as you say, all 3 teams are playing in Africa. Therefore, they've got the same workload. Now, it's not because Pirates don't have a big squad. Pirates have probably got the same size squad as Sundowns, but we'll address that as well. So the first question has to be, why has Riveiro not made more changes to his starting lineup? And surely there was a warning signal, because everything worked well until they got hammered 4-1 by Sundowns. Since then, the wheels have gone off. The wheels have fallen off, and the team's performance has dropped. You can see they're tired, but yet, once again, they persist. Mofokeng, the poor man, I know he's young, has played more games this season than anybody I can think of. And he's playing in an attacking role. He's getting the ball continuously. So surely their data is saying that players are running on empty. So I'm concerned about who's giving the coach the data on the fitness levels of the players, the freshness of the players. But there's a psychological freshness. You played, you've just recently played. There's a psychological freshness that it's very difficult 2 games a week to keep yourself at that kind of level. In particular, when the results aren't forthcoming, your mental energy drops. So what has cost Pirates? Without a doubt. And the chickens have come home to roost. It didn't look like a problem in the first half of the season because everybody's fresh. It starts happening always in the last third of the season. And it's exactly where Pirates is. That's where your freshness has got to come in. So there are a couple of mistakes. One, what's cost them? No rotation. It's almost too late. The second thing, no improvement in the squad. No injection of fresh faces. The third problem is that there doesn't seem that they've got a squad that they haven't used. 37 players, Riveiro says. Now, we're going to talk about that as well. So, guys out there, I'd like to hear your comments. We'd like to hear your comments. This is not Mike's opinion. This is not my opinion. The league table says, if this was a league table, Pirates are in the relegation zone and Sundowns are at top of the log. Yeah. Riveiro, you've not made enough rotations. You've not made enough changes. And the chickens have come home to roost. That's what's cost you. Secondly, I would say not signing new players, because there's been good enough players on the bench. Maybe players aren't available. Why do you think he's not made these changes, Mike? Why is he not
Yeah.
rotated?
Let's quickly go to a Betway promo and make sure when you're signing up with SoccerBeat that you use the SoccerBeat code when you're signing up to Betway, and you get extra $25. We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we'll discuss Riveiro's comments, which are quite eye-opening, and we'll discuss that right after the break. So stick with us.
How would you like to win a little something extra just for joining the best in the game? For a limited time, we are teaming up with Betway and giving all of you access to a SoccerBeat exclusive. If you join Betway using the sign-up code SoccerBeat, now in March, you'll get 25 Rand extra bet. That's right. It's time to get way more out of every bet. Standard T's and C's apply.
Thanks for staying with us, guys. Make sure when you sign up for Betway, you use the SoccerBeat promo code and you get extra $25. Peter, so we chatted obviously about the fact that Pirates are at the bottom in terms of team rotation. It is worthy to note that they have played obviously 4 games less. I don't think we do know that, so it's not that we've ignored that fact. We do know they have played 4 games less, so that number will climb, but will still put them very much in the bottom part of the rotations. But then Riveiro's come out recently in response to this, saying that he actually has 37 players in his squad. Imagine 37. Usually in most of the competitions around the world, you cannot have more than 25. So he does come out and respond to the comments that he actually speaks about having a massive squad size, but then he's still making fewer rotations. Why do you think you made those comments, Peter?
So, Mike, you hit on a very good point here. So that comment was made, and it's always about the context. He was actually asked the question, do you not have enough depth in your squad to compete in 3 competitions? Now, based on the lack of changes and rotation he makes, his answer should have been, yes, we have a lack of depth. Otherwise, that's the answer you would expect from that question. Instead, he says, I've got 37 players in the squad. But he doesn't say, I have depth. He then says what's a contradictory statement. He says, imagine 37. So he's emphasizing 37 in a negative way, not in a positive way. He's not saying, hey, I've got depth. He's saying, imagine 37. Usually, in most of the competitions around the world, you cannot have more than 25. So he's saying, what he's actually saying is, I've got too many players and they're not good enough. Now,
do you think it was not in response, Peter, to people putting on pressure as to saying why they never signed anybody in January?
Possibly. But the point is, he's not saying I don't have depth and I don't have quality players. He's saying it in a roundabout way. He's saying, I've got 37 players, and making it clear you can't work with 37 players. So he's actually saying he's not saying I don't have depth, but he's saying I don't have quality and I've got too many players to work with. That's my interpretation of what he's saying. That's the message. He's not going to go out and say the club have mismanaged my squad size. I have no say in my squad size. But he's indirectly saying, listen, guys, I've only got these players to work with, and I've got a bigger problem. I've got so many other players there that it affects my working of these 37 players, my 25 players. Mike, take the Chelsea coach, Maresco. He inherited a ridiculous squad size, even more than 37 players. What did he say when he straight away he went public? He told the club owners and he told the public, I deal with 25 players. That's over 2 teams. The rest, they train on the B field, they can be transferred, they can be loaned out. I don't want to see them. 25 players I deal with, that's the optimum number. And that's squad depth. Riveiro didn't say that. But now that we've got people are looking at rotation and say why you didn't do it, he's not saying, I made a mistake. I should have rotated earlier, which may or may not be correct, by the way. What he says, and this is so important, imagine 37. He's saying that's too big to work with. The question is, why has he not been able to address that with the club and said, listen, take these other players away? That's the real question that he should answer and the club should answer. And he says 25 is actually the number. He makes it clear. So, but what I would throw back at Riveiro is that's fine. Your 25, you could be working with a 25. Why have you not rotated within that? Because it hasn't happened.
So, yeah, I would even push back on that, Peter, and say 25 in South Africa in particular is not enough when you're playing in Africa, because traveling in Africa, we all know, like the travel, and it's not like playing in the Champions League where you just pop over to Netherlands or you just pop over to France. I mean, you go traveling massive distances, doing multi-day travels. 25, you need two strong 11s and a whole bunch of backup. I think 30 is sort of the minimum number, so 25 is definitely too low. And I would not think that 25 would be a manageable squad size when you're playing in African competitions in South Africa.
Let me say you're correct. The question I still asked Riveiro, you're in charge of the squad. Why haven't you rotated? Are you saying your core players are really 15, 16 players and the rest aren't actually good enough? Because that's what he's really saying. But you know what? Pirates are so good. There are certain teams that you can play against in the PSL where you can bring in a kind of B team or 4, 5, 6, 7 B team players with a core and still beat them. There's no discussion about that. So rotation has definitely been a problem. I think his squad is good enough to have done rotation. I think he needs to, unless he's not picking the team, which I don't think is the case. If he is picking the team and he's got full control of the team, and those are ifs, rotation lands in his lap. Something in his defense, though, and I don't want to bring up Saleng, but I think the Saleng problem actually has diluted his squad, because they've really got 3 wingers and 2 wingers. And if Saleng was there, they've got a 3rd quality winger. And he definitely would have been an asset. Nakata's young. He certainly would have been a starter, and Nakata would have come on. So I think that has also affected Pirates going forward. But I think this statement he's made, Mike, is a very interesting statement. I think it's a statement that the board would look at as well and address that statement, because it says a lot.
Yeah, look, Peter, on the Talking Pirates show, we absolutely love Jose, Spanish guitar Riveiro. We actually he's been phenomenal for Orlando Pirates. I mean, all the cups, the success he's brought back to Orlando Pirates, we love him. It's just like, we just keep thinking, how do we close this gap with Mamelodi Sundowns? And now we're judging ourselves by a different yardstick. And Pirates has the resources to get, when you talk about an A and a B team, at Pirates, there shouldn't be a B team. Sundowns can make 5, 6 changes and it looks just as strong. And I think Pirates are in that area. They can do that. They've got the squad to do that, where they can rotate and they can use the players that are on the fringes. I mean, Miguel Tim, we haven't seen him in a couple months, and apparently he's fit. And there's Rusty Borcha. There's lots and lots of players that we're not seeing. Obviously, the centre-back injuries haven't helped either. But there is depth there, and I'd just like to see us rotate, because Mofokeng, as much as I'd play him every minute of every game, I love him that much, but he does need time to rest in the smaller games so that he can be the best footballer he can be in the big games. So,
and you can come in the last 20, 30 minutes, where you're watching a game and saying, right, and you've got 20 minutes in you. Mike, there's another point I think that people are not addressing, and we need to address it here. Sundowns Pirate style of play is high tempo. It's really high tempo. Everything is, if they were a boxer, they're throwing punches nonstop. Whereas Sundowns play at their pace. By the way, I prefer watching Pirates way of playing, because it's a lot more exciting. It's go at your hell for leather. Sundowns in a more sophisticated way of playing. They keep possession and so on and so forth, and they almost pry you open eventually, because the other team never sees the ball. And I think that Pirates have become a bit one-dimensional. So it's a lot easier to defend against Pirates, and it's such a high-tempo game that players get tired playing this high-tempo game, because they're sprinting all the time forward. I think that Riveiro should have a plan B of playing. And I saw it when they played in Africa. I just forget who, because when Vieira scored the goal, the winning goal in the last few minutes, and they played, I think, in Libya. I think it was the Libyan team. I can't remember right now. But that game, they managed that game well. They played at a slower pace. They kept position, and they actually opened up the opposition exceptionally well. And I think that they got to bring that into the game as well. They've got to have, this is plan B. We can knock it about. We can keep possession, because they've got the players to do it. I mean, they've got players to keep possession. They don't have to go forward at this hell for leather all the time, despite the fact that you've got wingers. They can be more of a possession-based team. In fact, I think it suits them better to be able to switch that. So I think that's a particular problem. And that in my opinion, is purely a coach's decision. That's not a management decision or a player's decision. So I think that's also a factor that they've got to look at.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you, Peter. We definitely, but if you to coin it, Jurgen Klopp thing, it was a heavy metal style of football, definitely, and that was what was like running over teams in the beginning of the season, and that's why Pirates are having such a good season. But it takes a lot of energy, and you need a big squad for that. But I think, guys, you let us know in the comments what you think. 109 changes against 34. Does Revo need to rotate more? I think we know the answer to that question. But let us know in the comments, and make sure when you sign up for Betway, use the SoccerBeat promo code, and you get an extra $25 off your first
Mark,
bet.
Can I just have a final word to the Pirates fans? Is that, guys, Pirates have had a fantastic season, if you look at it relative. I just think it's an opportunity lost, and the main reason for this show is just to learn from the mistakes. And the mistakes have been made. Rotation is a clear mistake. It's not Mike's opinion, it's not my opinion. The data says it completely. There seems to be and then our solutions over and above the rotation is maybe plan B in playing style, that you keep possession a lot more than bomb forward to keep your players fresh. And the third thing, we've got to address what Riveiro is saying. The problem is that his squad is too big, and he doesn't have 25 players that he can work with, as opposed to this 37 that he's trying to manage. That's what he's saying, not us. But at the end of the day, he has improved Pirates considerably over the last 3 seasons. Is he the man, though, to get them to that next level, that they can really compete? Or does the club have to do something to take them to that next level? That's the next question mark, which we can address in another show.
Yep. For sure. Guys, thanks for sticking with us at SoccerBeat. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll check you guys in the next one.
Cheers, guys.
SoccerBeat, what?